Without further ado, the question on the floor is consumer trends that will shape the world. We have three quite different brands represented here, and they touch quite different types of consumers. So I look forward to a quite fruitful discussion. Let's start with how Samsung sees the consumer trends that will shape the world. Cheryl, please.
Thanks for your question, Jeremy. So it would be remiss for us as Samsung not to talk about AI and how that impacts the future of consumer trends on the world. In 2024, we launched Galaxy AI on the Galaxy S24 series. And with that, we actually propelled, in our view, mobile AI into the mainstream. So since then, we have also then extended AI's capability, not just to mobile experiences, but also across our TV and DA offerings, as well as all through our digital appliances. So if you own a Samsung TV, and if you don't, I highly recommend that you check it out. We talk a lot about Vision AI, because when we have it in our mobile experience, it's one thing, but also entertainment. How do you enhance that with AI? That's something that we look about quite a bit. On top of that, digital appliances, home, everyday life, how do you use AI to then enhance that? We have a platform called Smart Things. So Smart Things actually is, think of it as like a control tower for all things in your home. Using AI, how do you then optimize that experience, help you save some money, help you save some energy, and in a way make it more intuitive for your day-to-day living. So why I'm saying all this thing is because you can see at the end of it, with AI, we are looking at how we can enhance our consumers' lifestyles, not just inside the home, but outside the home as well. And it's something that we are very passionate about. Something that we've been thinking about a lot as well as a company is the idea of ambient intelligence. So what is ambient intelligence? Think of it as like digital oxygen. Technology should really feel seamless. It should feel invisible nearly. And for us, instead of like the traditional AI approach where it is user prompted and you get some sort of response from as a result, what we are looking at is how can we make AI so intuitive and so able to anticipate your needs such that it is something that's proactively given to you. So that's one trend that we definitely lean in quite heavily, especially as a company. The second that we talk about quite a lot with the advent of AI is obviously security. We see in our research more and more a lot of our consumers, a lot of our customers having more and more of a concern because obviously there's a lot of data being generated, data being processed. So how is it safe and secure, right? In 2013, I believe, we launched Nox Security. So Nox Security is our platform that actually helps to ensure that we stay apace and on top of all the bad actors and how they are processing your data. So with that, what we have is, for example, Nox Enhanced Encrypted Protection, or KEEP for short. Sorry, it's a bit of a mouthful, so I'm going to call it KEEP because, like you said, across all our different offerings, it has a very large lifespan, right? So KEEP actually helps you to identify any sort of vulnerabilities within the home system. If it is compromised, it will lock it down and ensure that the vulnerabilities don't spread elsewhere. Because actually not too long ago, I read this article about how a hacker got someone's personal data, stole it from a robot vacuum. And that is like my worst nightmare. As it is, I don't like doing chores. And now my robot vacuum is perhaps a place where, I can have my data stolen.
To not do any more chores.
I know, right? So therefore, how do we have technology that is able to help us use our tech with confidence is something that's always on the forefront of our minds. The other thing that's actually of concern, or rather of a trend that we are noticing, I don't think it's new news to everyone, it is that discretionary spendings is going down year on year. As with all the geopolitical, socio-economical factors that have been influencing the years over these couple of years, right? We need to really show to our consumers why is it worth it that I spend $2 and 2 hours on your product versus anybody else's product in this day and age. So in order for us to really show our value as a brand to the consumers, what we've been looking at is twofold. So for example, we are looking at how we can expand the life cycle of each of our products so that if you want to, you have the choice to upgrade, you have the choice to stay with your current device. So in the industry, we are one of the ones that provides the longest length of support, up to 7 years of OS upgrades, up to 7 generations of OS upgrades and up to 7 years of security updates. So you have that flexibility to stay with your current device holding or upgrade if you so desire. On top of that, we are also very cognizant about all the different types of consumers that we have in our ecosystem. So from A to Z, literally we have A series all the way to Z series. Any kind of priority, lifestyle, predilection that you have, we have a device for you. And that gives you the flexibility to choose something that is and cater to your needs and cater to the price point that you're comfortable with. So those 3 things, I think, are something that really drives us a lot. And underpinning all of that is, I guess, our company philosophy about having innovation that really is catered for everyone, having Galaxy that is open, that invites people to have a positive impact upon the world. In Singapore, we do this in 3 main ways. So firstly, we use our brand as a platform to allow local businesses, enterprises, and creators to really shine. Recently, we worked with The Missing Piece, as well as Omno, who have really homegrown local brands, have that platform in order to shine. We also work quite closely with a lot of up-and-coming, budding illustrators and creators so that they have also, again, a larger reach that they can leverage on through our relationship. On top of that, we also work quite closely with a lot of government players, like, for example, the CSA, which is the Cybersecurity Agency of Singapore, IMDA, NLB, and all of this is really with the idea of having digital enablement, allowing AI literacy to really grow within Singapore so that we can all progress within that same direction. And I think lastly, I would also highlight that we've recently started looking at new and novel formats that we can do our marketing, communicate with our consumers. So we've been experimenting and going quite a lot into live streaming. That's something that's really trendy and hot now. And we think that this is a great way for us to connect with our consumers in a way that we never did before. So these 3 things, I think, also kind of illustrate this whole idea of openness that we really want to demonstrate to Singapore.
Great. Thank you, Cheryl. Gave me a lot of things to think about. Firstly, about what my vacuum says about me if it gets hacked. And secondly, I find that I may have something in common with Samsung. I'm also told that I have ambient intelligence that is invisible to the people I work with. Okay, thanks, Cheryl. Now let's move on to Sima. Sima, please. Okay. Same question. What from the Chaji point of view, what consumer trends are shaping the world?
我会转变成中文。对，我先做一个简单的自我介绍，我叫思萌，然后我在茶几服务了4年时间，我算是茶几的一个老员工。很多人就问你才4年，你为什么能说自己是老员工？因为茶几一共就7年多时间，不到8年。就是我是去年3月份从中国调到新加坡，然后我们在这边重新组建了 APAC 团队，对。然后在这期间，我见证了茶几从200家店到7000家店的一个转变，就很荣幸，我也见证了茶几的 IPO， 茶几在美国的上市。在这期间，最近很多人都会问我同样的一个问题，你觉得茶几它做对了什么？它能如此快速的一个发展？我觉得很幸运，我们刚好赶上了一个消费者他在消费行为转变的一个时间。我相信大家都听过一个词叫做口红经济，对，就是我们之前可能几年前大家会觉得，我想奖励一下自己，我会买一个很贵的包或者是一场长途旅行。但是现在我们不一样了，我们可能就是更在乎我们的生活中的不断的一些小确幸，比如说我们去买一支适合你颜色的口红，或者一杯高品质又美味的茶几。我就刚好我们赶上了这个红利期吧。当然，我觉得在我们这几年当中，我们也遵循了3个关键词，这3个关键词也是带领着我们的走向成功的一个标准。 就是茶有陈。茶我觉得很简单，就是我们的产品，我们的商品。茶本来它是一个很传统的一个东西，但是在我们现代经济下，在我们年轻人的不断改进下，我们的茶现在有了柠檬茶，有了我们的鲜奶茶系列等等等等。然后我相信我们茶姬也在当中起到了至关重要的作用。我们也推出了大家喜爱的伯牙绝弦、荜荠乌龙等等等等。当然，第二个词就是我们的友。中国有句话叫做以茶会友，就是我们用一杯茶做链接，用一杯茶去交朋友，我们用一杯茶去连接每一个人的每一天。第三个关键词呢，我觉得也很重要，就是诚。诚是真诚的诚。我之前在3年前我去我们门店的时候，因为我们在中国有一些门店，它会有一个本子，可以记录下每个顾客他自己的感受。我在当中看到这样一句话，他写的是“真诚是永远的必杀技”。我当时特别感动，我觉得我们在门店做的一些服务的小细节，是真的被我们的消费者他们看见的。我相信大家去到茶姬门店都会有这样的一个体验，就是当你拿到我们的奶茶的时候，我们的店员一定会跟你说一句“不满意可以给你重做”。不管你是对冰度、糖度任何的不满意，我们都会无条件的帮你换一杯符合你口味的一杯新茶。我觉得当我们在这些细节在执行的阶段被我们消费者看见，我觉得我们的真诚是真的做到了。对。当然，我觉得，出海我们也遇到了很多新的一些挑战了。我们目前在亚太是已经进入了6个国家，在进入这些国家之前，我们也会去做非常非常多的一些市场调研以及本地化的一些改变吧。包括我们在新加坡，在8月份的时候，我们在我们的国庆日，我们有上线一款新品，叫做南花碧螺春。它是我们的以新加坡南花为基底的口味。不知道在座有没有大家去现场喝过这款品？对，没有，那是我们宣传不到位，会继续努力。对，希望未来我们可能会推出更多、更美味的、更符合我们当地 local 口味的一些产品给到大家。同时的话，我们也做了很多周边。周边我想给大家展示一下。谢谢。不好意思。包括我们可以给大家看一下我们在新加坡做的凉惹系列的一些周边。这是一套茶杯。我们是用了一些凉惹的元素，然后去做一些灵感，然后做了这套产品。大家有兴趣的话，可以去到我们的第1家南洋主题门店，在我们的 Chinatown 可以去参观，也可以去购买到这款产品。可以看一下。OK, thank you. 然后我们在进入海外的时候，我们不仅仅希望我们是一个茶饮品牌，我们更希望我们是一个生活方式品牌。所以我们也有不同的主题门店，像刚刚我提到的南洋风门店，以及我们在新加坡的无声门店，就是我们的店员都是就是听障人士。等等等等，在我们 NUS， 我也觉得大家有兴趣也可以去了解。包括我们也会做一些环保类的一些动作，比如说大家可以看到，我这边的茶盒，这里面其实是茶包，对，里面是茶包。然后这个茶盒它的特色，谢谢。它的特色是在于它是用茶渣做成的，就是你靠近闻它是有茶香味的，可以闻一下。对，还有我们的本子。对，还有我们的本子，它也是用茶渣做的。对，如果大家有兴趣的话，也可以去更多了解。所以我在想，在未来，我相信我们进到亚太区域、亚太市场，我们还会有更多更新的一些挑战和机遇吧。我们也会不断的推出我们的新的产品、新的口味，也会不断的更新换代，对，更新迭代。我特别喜欢我们在门店的墙上有一句话，就是一杯茶它能走多远，那要看东方的风它能吹多远。霸王茶姬，我们把茶叶以全新的面貌带向世界。我希望能和在座的各位大家一起共创下一个茶企千年。谢谢大家。
Thank you, Simon, and thank you for bringing Thank you for bringing the props, and thank you for actually bringing some cups of tea for the audience. Really spoiled market, but who knows what other treats might be in store from our other guests? Hint, hint. Okay, just kidding. Okay, just kidding. No, I say one.
COE at 120K, you should. COE is very high right now.
Okay. Sorry, Lian, you have a little bit of a tough act to follow.
It is.
But don't feel any pressure to give anybody free rides. But
First,
please carry on, and let's hear about what you have to say about consumer trends.
Well, it's really difficult to follow, tech, consumer, from Cheryl, as well as a very 非常地道, very customer-facing brand like Chaji. But I'll try. So I started off my life previously as a consultant. So we're here to talk about consumer trends. And consumer trends, very, briefly can be broken into a few dimensions, right? The first are your segments. These are the ones that we always look at, your demographics and the markets and what's the population shape. We know, for example, birth rates in Singapore mean that it dictates a certain aspect of where your baby and childcare segment will go. So one is segments, who are your consumers? Second are the themes, what are they buying, what are they interested in? Is it experiential? Third are the channels, is it physical, is it digital? Right, so with sort of these different dimensions in mind, I thought I'd just share a few stories of the things I'm involved in. And I want to maybe talk about 3 different segments of consumers: the experiential, the utility, as well as the social. So experiential, people who chase experiences probably tend to be a more affluent consumers. And what is the best example of an experience are things that you go and you do yourself and you pursue yourself. So one of my side hats, I volunteer with Singapore Track and Field. So quick question, who is running the Stanchart Marathon this year? There are runners, yeah, don't be shy. Okay, just one, no more than one. 2, all right? Who runs normally?
I'm watching
Who
the
runs?
marathon.
Who normally runs? Who normally runs? Come on, this is a tough crowd. Come on, you all run, right? Okay, so you all run.
I walk.
Okay, but for those that run that don't take part in the Stanchart Marathon, you should. We've got 10K, 20K, and then the full marathon. We have 55,000 people running in the Stanchart. How many % of them are foreigners? Any guesses? How many percent who came for Taylor Swift are foreigners, for example? Any
good
guesses?
question.
Okay, so look, Singapore's a big tourism destination, but what does that mean? It means that people are willing to travel for experiences. So this is what I mean by the experiential consumer. 1/4 of my 55,000 Stanchart marathon runners are from overseas. They're about 13,000. And of this 13,000, 5,000 plus are from Indonesia. So, our neighboring countries really are willing to come. So whether it is traveling for High Rocks, it's not a new theme, but 20 years ago, people are traveling for Ironman, traveling for High Rocks, but now we're talking about really mass participation that people are willing to travel for. We just concluded F1 last week. Hotel prices were 4x what they normally are, and you have people coming for all the different conferences as well. So people are willing to travel, right, to either participate or to watch their favorite stars. So this one I probably won't ask for hands, but I see some older faces in the room probably went for Elton John, who know who Elton John is. I'm sure my fellow panelists don't know who Elton John is because they're too young, right?
Not be lah.
But the point is that luxury travel, experiential, health and wellness, this is up. So I think this is a McKinsey estimate. Hospitality, luxury hospitality is up 10%, but luxury good purchase is down 5%. Once a Bain number, once a McKinsey number, you take it as you will, right? But really, the first point is people are willing to consume experiences, probably less willing to buy luxury goods, or they find them increasingly commoditized. So I also, do some work with Banyan Tree, and we now have property in Mandai. It's our 100th property. Luxury hospitality is going through the roof. So this first broad theme I'm talking about is experiential consumer. And if you've ever been to Mandai, Banyan Tree, also a shameless plug, you all must go there and check it out. It's actually pretty amazing. It's one of those things, the broader Mandai redevelopment that Singapore has done is amazing. So that's on one end, the experiential. The other end, we're talking about utility. So if you think of Gojek's primarily a utility. What does the world look like from an Indonesian consumer point of view? Our gross transaction value, different metrics of growth or revenue for both our transport, which is pure utility, as well as our finance, which is also a utility, right? Finance side is up 30%, our transport or on-demand side is up 10%. So from a pure utility consumer perspective, we also see significant growth. And utility means you need to use it. You need to go somewhere, you need to go to office, go to work, you need to get your food delivered. But even within this utility segment where we see growth, there is some differentiation of slightly more premium. So people that say, I want a faster trip, or I want better food, or versus the everyday mass, which is talking about being reliable, right? I think the second chunk here is utility consumer is also very high competition, very low margins. Everyone knows Meituan. Meituan came out. There's now Kita, which a brand is Kita in Hong Kong and in Middle East. So, everyone probably either owns an EV or knows somebody who has an EV. BYD is the best-selling brand here. So from the very high end, which is your cars, to your very low end, you see a lot of this external competition coming out from China. Tati, obviously, or Luckin Coffee, many of these brands, right? So I think the second thing I really want to talk about is that there is a strong utility segment. It is growing. They demand good value at a reasonable cost, and there's high competition. That's also true. But where is the competition coming from, and how do you differentiate the really mass from the slightly premium? So that's the second segment. And the third segment I'll talk about is social. I used to volunteer at the Center for Social Enterprise, and just important plug, social does not mean charity, right? Social really means around social impact. Doing good, meaning being very inclusive, as well as being good. Or being good, meaning, for example, having inclusive practices around your employees and doing good in terms of where you apply your work to. So this third aspect of a socially driven consumer are people that want something that's authentic and something that's social. I think Simen talked about her shop that has employees who have different kinds of disabilities. That is exactly the kind of social enterprises that RAISE, the Center for Social Enterprise, used to support. And there is something very, very important about the authenticity there. And the problem about being authentic is it's very hard to scale. If you saw recently, the Ben & Jerry's founder just resigned. So Gojek, for example, is a very anak karya bangsa, right? It is a very Indonesian brand, very, very local, and that is the core brand promise of Gojek, which then speaks to the needs of consumers to identify with, buy, or associate themselves with a brand that really lives up to its brand promise consistently over time. So sort of these three thoughts, right, around the experiential and high-end, the really utility, as well as consumers driven by social need and affiliation.
Great. Thanks, Lian. I guess all three of you talked a little bit about, I guess if I could generalize it, what people are willing to spend their money on. I guess I have two questions, and any one of you can take it. Firstly, this luxury consumer, how are any of these categories broken down by demographics? Is it younger people are willing to spend a specific type of thing, and older people are willing to spend money a different way, or does it cut across, or is it income-based, like just the higher income are willing to spend, willing to buy certain things and not? So, Lian, you look like you want to take this.
Yeah, well, that's why I started off by saying that when you talk about consumers, it's very important to identify the dimensions. The good and bad thing is that you want to cherry-pick your data, you can cherry-pick any data, right? But I'll say the answer is yes and. What is a yes and? The yes and is, I'll give an anecdote and then I'll share broadly. So when I was doing sort of a field research and interviewing customers, I met a young Indonesian lady. She is a university student, and she orders from GoFood. And her point was she wants to order the GoFood so that she has a coffee, and coffee is not cheap, so that she can walk into class and her classmates can see that she's holding this coffee. So that's aspirational. It's expensive for her budget, it's aspirational. So it's not as if to say, it's the province of, it's kind of like the lipstick economy Simon was talking about, where you're willing to splurge on certain things, right? So what is that? What is the need and what is the want? And how do you actually convert more wants into needs for your customers is really what we want to do. So I mean, Cheryl was talking about AI in our search engines, particularly for food. Our job is to actually put in front of the customer more recommendations of things that they may not have tried, so that expands their portfolio of things that they're interested in. If you only eat pizzas and every day, maybe I'll try to introduce you to something adjacent, for example, expand your palate. So that's a long answer. The short answer really is that you can always get, wherever you are in the segment, you can always get people to make aspirational buys, and you convert that want into a need over time.
Okay, so it is across the board.
Something, right? There'll be something that sticks to you, whether it is your shoes, your clothes, your pens, your specs. Every one of them, I can put a brand that's done very Lenskart, Owndays, but and then you move up into something more expensive. So from handbags to everything we wear, we touch, we experience, our travel, our hospitality, even Gojek, Go car versus Go Lux. It's nicer to sit in a nicer car. So even there, even for a very utility service, you can do this small differentiation.
Cheryl, how does Samsung do this differentiation?
Well, obviously we have a lot of consumer data that we process, and we understand, therefore, a little bit more about what kind of trend lines that we are seeing. Like what I mentioned earlier in terms of the discretionary spending going down and people really needing from brands to justify why it's worth it, this worth it economy, as you will. What we are seeing is that there is sort of like a tension between wanting to showcase the flex of owning a certain thing, but at the same time really showing the utilitarian benefit of it. And it's just in response to how things are right now. So what we see actually is that if we do not justify the spend a consumer makes and when they invest in a certain product, then they will likely churn out the next time around. And that's why retention is a very important part of the consumer journey for us.
Thanks. Sumang, you talked about handbag versus tea.
Yeah.
How is there an age group of people that Chargy specifically targets? Are your teas more popular with certain segments? And are you trying to grow that? Or how are you trying to grow that?
对，是这样，我也可以大概讲一下，因为特别赞同刚刚两位的一些观点。就是我们在做茶几的时候，大家可以看到，我们在新加坡，它的定价其实是不会太高的。我们的中杯是4.9块，就我们500的，然后700是5.9块。但是我们在拥有一个非常好的一个定价范围内，我们做了很高端的产品。大家可以包括我们也很健康，大家去到门店可以看到，基本上我们的产品都是 Neutral Grade B。就是我们是一个原叶鲜奶茶，我们是很健康的，包括我们的包装，大家也看到了非常精美。我们也在不断的创新去做联名，然后也有很多新的一些包装出来。我们是想让消费者觉得，我可以不用花太多的钱，我就可以拥有一个能提升我价值感的一个产品，这就是一杯茶机。它可以每天可能就花几块钱就能拥有，就是说我今天特别开心，因为我喝了一杯品质感很好，然后让我很开心的一杯饮品。对，这就是我觉得我们在做的一些动作。对。
Okay, thank you. The second part of my question in general, Lian and I guess Cheryl and Sumang, was, is this something that you've noticed change over time? This experience, this desire for luxury experiences, for instance. How has that changed, and what do you think is driving that change?
I think COVID, well, two parts, right? One, I think COVID clearly it's in pretty recent memory, and that completely it's probably a topic of several books around how COVID shaped and changed consumer behaviors, the way we work and the way we live. So I think that, clearly one is changed a lot of things, right? Even like wearing athleisure, we wore that in the at home, realized that we like being comfortable and don't like wearing suits. So that's, that is one. So the products actually became simpler. And that's I go back to the need for experiences. But even within experiences, even if you're buying a product, there's also been a lot of product exploration. So give a simple example. How many of you only have one brand of milk in your fridge versus having multiple types? Who has at least 2 types of milk in your fridge? Low fat plus oat, or full fat plus low fat, or low lactose, or some combination thereof, right? This need for exploration, I think, came about a little bit because of that, but also a little bit because of greater awareness. So, there's a trigger to awareness. If we think of one of the consumer trends now, which is, not now, but has always been, people are embracing a lot more, is personalization. And personalization also means I will then fragment my share of wallet much more. So personalization is, from a physical goods perspective, if you go to Levi's, you can... What is the bear where you can make your own bear?
Build a bear.
Okay, yeah, build a bear, right? So,
although Haidilao outside also can.
Yes, yes. Tumi is the first where you can emboss your name, right? But from embossing your name, which is really simple, to design your own jeans, design your own bear, design your own whatever, from a physical goods perspective, that interactive aspect allows you to really personalize. So I think one of the big themes is personalization. Another of the big themes then is your sort of brand fragmentation as you do more discovery, right? And there's more of that, and that relates to I want more experiences versus I want more goods.
So have any of you noticed, and this is something that sometimes there's a media narrative around Gen Z being quite unique in what they are willing to spend money on? And they have been accused of killing all kinds of things, just like millennials were accused of killing all kinds of things. Have you all noticed any specific trait that belongs to a generation? Any generational difference between what they are willing to spend their money on? You can say no.
I want to say the brand promise one is probably quite big. The authenticity one is quite big. Question to the ladies in the audience. Do you all know a brand called WADA? Okay, I see one nod. Okay, at least there's one nod. Any other nod? But it's quite a male audience, so this is not very fair. WADA is an Indonesian skincare brand, right? So has done very well. And so people want local. People have always wanted that. I want to say that it tends to be your sort of slightly younger consumers who really care a lot about it. Equivalent in our generation would be Bata. Bata's not local.
Yes.
Everyone thought it was local, right? But everyone thought that Bata was local. It's actually from Czech. So Wada's authentically Indonesian. Skintific, I'm looking at the same lady, so she also knows, right? Skintific is actually Chinese, but it has a different, it pitches itself as being from here. So what I'm really saying is that provenance, the story, the authenticity, these tend to be things that your younger consumer generally cares about a little bit more. Your boycotts of, say, US-associated brands in some neighboring countries, that is led by your younger consumers.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for our panelists? Oh, we already have one, sir.
Hi, I'm Czech from DHL, and I guess I don't need to introduce DHL, but we actually buy a lot of sustainable aviation fuel, and we made a very big step some time ago to offer that fuel to our end customers so that they can inset their shipments. And that has been quite successful because we found that there's a lot of interest in ESG. So I wanted to hear from the panelists, what are your experiences and how important do you think ESG fits into your strategy going forward? Thank you.
Cheryl, do you want to start first with sustainability?
So from and actually this is something that's very BAU for us already in terms of how do we create and make our products such that it is sustainable and good for the environment. Especially in Singapore, there is a growing narrative that we have, not even just from our mobile products, but all the way through to our home appliances as well as our TVs. So I think this is most pronounced when we look again at our smart things, the feature that I mentioned earlier. So we use again AI to help to inform customers about how they can save money as well as save their energy by extension. So this is just one way that we've been doing so.
因为关于环保这个事情，刚刚我也提到了，就是我们也在努力用一些我们已经用过的一些像茶渣，就是这个是茶叶，我们泡完茶叶不用的一些茶渣，我们来做一些周边，然后再进行2次的一个利用。然后同时的话，我们茶几也是在不断的在进行我们的包装的一个改进。我们也希望未来我们能有更多的可循环利用的一些产品，或者是我们的包材，然后出来能。希望能做更多的做一些贡献，对。
Thanks for the question. I'm actually quite curious what the uptake of SAF would be if it didn't incorporate into the company's measurable metrics. And the reason I say this is that actually going back to, is this a social consumer or is it a utility consumer? And if it's a utility consumer, then my utility from sustainable aviation fuel will be that this is something I can put into my reported metrics. Then that I understand. If it's social from a B2B perspective, I have a big question mark. So from our perspective, if our consumers are utility consumers, then the environmental aspects probably would not necessarily be that strong. And people are driven purely by what they're looking for. So first identify what that segment is. So for example, different people have tried having EV as a vehicle service type. That's not taken off. EVs are a very low proportion of the overall ride-hailing rental fleet in Singapore for reasons of economics and reasons of convenience. And the truth is that your consumers are not willing to pay for it. So I ask, they're not, right? So that's why I ask, what is the underlying motivation that your SAF has been actually successfully taken up?
Okay. Maybe we need to add a fifth chair. Okay, that's it. Anybody else has a question? Okay, while you all think about it. Cheryl, I mean, we didn't get to talk a lot about Gen AI. And Gen AI is a big part of actually your presentation and what Samsung is doing. I'm curious whether you have any insight at all into what the more popular features are. What are people using Gen AI for?
Oh, that's very interesting that you asked. So obviously I can't give out the specifics, but since we launched Galaxy AI, what we see a lot of consumers doing is using it for discovery. So obviously Samsung is part of the Android ecosystem, and therefore there is the Google underlying sort of like platform that we use, and we see that, okay, people use Circle to search, which is a new way to search based off whatever's on your screen. And that is something that was never seen before, like the launch of Galaxy AI. So new ways of discovery. We see a lot of multimodal activities, so talking to your device as if it's your friend. So like having that kind of a dialogue and that kind of back and forth with someone that's on your device is actually something that we see quite a bit. The other thing that we notice quite a lot is using AI to unlock, or rather remove barriers to some, I guess, specialist skills around creativity. So one of the more popular features that we have on Galaxy AI is generative edit, where you can remove components or like people in your photos that you probably in the past would have to take hours and hours to do. Now in a few moments it's completely gone. So what is really heartening is to see how using technology, these specialist skills become more democratized and everybody has access to it. And that's really the intention behind us using AI in our technologies, so that it is accessible, democratized, everybody can participate in the fun.
For Sumang and Lien, is AI at all part of your business workflow, your plans, or at all how you deal with your customer? Is AI involved at all?
确实很巧哈。其实我们之前也用过 AI 的一些功能，大家会觉得很奇怪，为什么作为一个茶饮公司，你为什么会用到 AI？然后我们最多的用在什么地方？是发现我们去找达人，去找 KOL。我们通过有一个 AI 公司，他们去用 AI 的算法，能帮我们很好的筛选出我们在当地目前为止数据最好的一些达人。对，我们刚好用过这个功能，在我们泰国开业的时候，我觉得而且它真的能帮我们选出当下可能性价比更高，对于我们品牌来说性价比更高，然后特别合适我们品牌调性的一些 KOL。对。
Ours is a little bit more functional. So if you think of large language models, so go to the parent group, we built Bahasa. I mean, one of the challenges is that, particularly in Southeast Asia, where the markets are slightly smaller, getting your own local language LLM is a bit more difficult. So we worked with Sea Lion to generate a Bahasa LLM, and that's been super useful because then you can do your multimodal voice-to-text search. And if you're a motorcycle driver trying to input text to your customer and saying, I'm on my way or something, this is completely hands-free. So very functional, traditional multimodal AI use. Then when it comes to on the customer side around search and discoverability and recommendations and knowing that actually, Jeremy maybe has a secret fetish for, I don't know, GYG, right? Because based on how he looks and what he does, it's like, yeah, maybe he loves Mexican food, and we'll push the recommendation to you.
I worry about what data Gojek has on me.
You need to just spend more time in Indonesia and we will know everything there is about you, even things you don't know yourself. So that's both on the customer as well as on the driver side of the house.
Great. I don't want to be the only one asking questions, so please.
I have a question. When we're talking about consumer trends, we spend so much time on our mobile devices right now, whether it's ride-hailing, whether it's using devices, or even ordering a drink or some food. We think about the benefits of using mobile. Do consumers also need to think about things like security, especially if we're thinking about more advanced things like smart things, which is an extension even beyond devices? When consumer trends emerge, are there other things that need to come together with it? Maybe Cheryl can help with the question, and Lian as well.
I think like what I mentioned, this is definitely one consumer trend that we see on the rise in our industry, and from a year-on-year growth, it spikes more and more. So ultimately, it is our job as providers to also work very closely and hand in hand with our government actors and our government agencies to ensure that we are kept abreast and we have, inputs that can help inform the next generation of updates. So yes, the short answer is yes, it is important. It is something that we take very seriously, and we are actually working very hard in order from a chipset up level, security is provided in your device, but also working together with regulators to ensure that people are informed and educated as to how they can best protect themselves as well.
The Chinese phrase, right? 道高一尺，魔高一丈. But that's standard. Whenever you have a new technology, then you will have new surface areas of capability as well as risk. So that is a given. Fraud, I'll give some historical stuff, right? And all of this is pretty public, which is that when you've had devices, or even now, 2025, you still get scammed. People still, please don't share your OTP with somebody who claims they're from the government, for example. But that is still something that we have to worry about in 2025. That's been true for sort of maybe 10 years. Whether it is facial recognition, which we have, different kinds of device IDs. So every company on a mobile basis or their app basis will have many of these different safeguards. And the principles of security are multi-layered, tiered. There are a bunch of them, right? And I think every new technology comes with new risks. You just need to make sure that your risk protection investment is proportional to the upside that you're potentially losing. I'll just give one more plug, which is in my previous life as a public servant, where the risks are incredibly high, then you invest in them first. So, for example, we have a nuclear safety institute in Singapore before we have nuclear power, because we know that the risk is so high that, look, you better just make sure you have safety ecosystem. That's one of the few times where safety leads the product. But otherwise, in almost any other state of the world, it should be product leads safety, and the two should grow proportionately.
Thanks. Other questions from the floor? Anybody? We don't have a lot of opportunities to have people like this on. Yes, sir.
Thank you. So I come from China. So I speak English. I speak Chinese much better than speaking Chinese.
Go ahead.
Let me ask in Chinese. I have two questions for two ladies. Yeah. So 我有2个问题问这2位女士啊。首先问那个思萌啊，其实我们是蛮有缘分的啊，就是你们的创始人，就是在国内在几年以前差点是我们在一起，我们有一个 membership private board。那我后来知道你们在新加坡做霸王茶姬的时候，就跟那个合作伙伴，后来有这个分开，对吗？
哦，我们暂时我们这边没有合作伙伴。
之前。
对，
就是其实我的问题蛮简单，因为我去年也带了一个品牌来新加坡，就是也在商场开店，当会遇到当地的运营伙伴和我们 China brand 就是不是非常有这种默契啊，按照这个游戏规则，所以我不知道你怎么看这个问题，怎么样让这个更好的这种 trust。
其实我刚刚在讲的时候，我觉得有一个点特别重要，就是以茶会友。我们一直很坚信，我们用这一杯茶去交朋友。因为我在座也看到了我们之前的一些合作方，对，也有熟悉的面孔。就我们不仅仅是对我们的合作伙伴也好，对我们门店的员工也好，还是对我们在座的所有人也好，对我们消费者也好，我们都是秉承着一个以茶会友的一个精神去跟大家去做交流的。如果有任何问题，那一定是我觉得可能是我们想的不周或怎么样，但是我相信就是我们一定能把霸王茶姬的以茶会友这个精神，以东方茶会世界友的精神传递下去。对，
这是很好的一个哲学层面的回答啊。那我第2个问题是问这个叫Cherry 嘛 ？OK， I have a partner from the Satan Group. One of our brand is Oppo, so my office is in Oppo. So， 其实我自己用的是三星手机啊，不过上个礼拜汽车刚刚摔坏了啊，维修费非常高啊。但我想问就是说啊，在三星我知道在新加坡做得非常不错啊，在苹果和 OPPO、三星3个品牌，你们和这2个品牌的这个竞争方面，有没有一些 differentiation 的一些差异化的一些 strategy， 能够让你们始终保持 market share， 能够有更好的一个 market share increase？
I really did wish I took the translation.
The translation is slower, so I'm just catching up.
But from what I can understand and what I'm hearing of the question, obviously we are part of a larger ecosystem of players. So we always have our eyes on the competition, but ultimately the thing that drives our innovation, our strategies is our customers. And if you see a lot of the things that we've done, it is about anticipating what our consumers need before maybe they even realize it. So with that as the ethos of how we proceed forward, it's just something that always informs us at the back end.
Thanks. I think to some extent it works since he is using a Samsung phone. Yeah. We have a few minutes left, so anybody who does not have questions about trade secrets or business dealings? Okay, then I will take the opportunity, Sumang. I have some questions about Chaji. We talked a little bit about the mobile experience. I do wonder what was the thinking for some Chaji stores to not have a counter where you take orders. You order only through the app. What was the experience? What's the logic behind why you designed the store like this?
我想解释一下，就是 Jeremy 这个问题，就是我们现在在门店是可以就是直接点单，也可以去跟门店的伙伴点单的。可能他没有一个很明显的一个 POS 在这儿，但是如果你有任何需求，有任何需要我们店员帮助的，我们都可以帮助你去完成一个点单。对。然后同时的话，为什么我们很注重 App 点单这个事情？因为大家也知道，我们茶几在新加坡生意还可以，还不错。每次其实要等蛮长时间的。我们不希望我们的顾客他们在门店就在那边等很久时间，所以我们会建议大家先用 App 下单。等我们的饮品做好了，我们 App 上会有提示说，哦，您的饮品已为您准备好，你可以去现场取单。这样也是节约我们消费者的时间。对。
Okay. Sorry. It's just the logistics of translation. And it so happens I failed my Chinese in school. So. We have 3 minutes to go, my timer tells me. So really, this is our last chance. Anybody in the audience with a burning question? Yes, sir.
This question is directed at
Shimon. The mic. Yeah.
Just want to because I take bubble tea a lot. I like sugar. 很喜欢糖啊，所以我要了解。My Mandarin not so good. 我要了解你做这个茶叶跟别的泡泡 bubble tea 啊，怎么样跟他们打啊 competition？ Sorry， 谢谢。Sharing。
OK。
为什么 as a consumer 我要去喝你的茶？因为现在啊。
首先我觉得我们不叫 bubble tea， 就是我们不想定义为我们为一个 bubble tea， 我们把
no pearls in Chaji。
Yes， 就是我们会把它定义为原叶鲜奶茶。对，就是我们的饮品，首先我觉得很重要一点就是健康。我刚刚有提到的，就是我们所有的茶叶都是现泡的，我们的奶都是用的当地最好的一个品牌。就是首先能代表就是我们是一个很健康的品牌。第二个就是我觉得茶几就是我们还有一个优势，就是我们有很好的服务体验。就从你进到茶几以后，就是所有的你的听觉、你的嗅觉，你都能感受到，这是一个更高端的一个场所。你会愿意坐下来，在我们的茶空间坐下来，和你的朋友一起去慢慢的享受这一杯茶。对，这是我觉得我们能区别于我们其他的一些品牌的一些优势。对。
I guess I might as well take the opportunity to ask, so why doesn't Chaji have pearls?
我觉得首先为什么茶几能什么都我们怎么说中文叫什么都想要，什么都希望能做到最好。对，我觉得我们也是希望我们不是一个想快速一个赚钱的品牌，我们是为了就是我们能细水长流，能慢慢的得到回报，然后也希望也是我们有一句话叫做开满全球100个国家，能更好的把我们的茶，把东方的茶带向全世界。对。
Sorry, I have to catch up again. Okay, now the timer has turned red. I have time for one question. Anybody? Last burning question. Anybody at all? This is your last chance. Okay, if not, please join me and give a big round of applause.
Sorry, just one parting shot, which is consumers are value seeking. COE is at 120K. So we were talking about two things, right? One is to make sure that your cost of living isn't too high. There is a Gojek promo code, Asia2025. Asia2025. But second, the value of scarcity. If it's not scarce, you all won't appreciate it. There's a limited number out there for you all to redeem. So if you do use Gojek, just punch in Asia2025. Thank you.
Yeah. On that. What are our key takeaways today? Peer pressure works.